Mark 9, the transfiguration of Jesus. And Jesus told them, "Truly I tell you now, there are some of you present here who will not expire until they have seen the monarchy of the Lord God come with all power." And as events happened, 6 days later, Jesus invited Peter, James, and his brother John, and they all proceeded alone up a great mountain to pray. And in their presence, Jesus was transfigured. His garments became sparkling, extremely white, like brilliant snow. No launderer in the world could make them glisten that way. And instantly, Moses and Elijah were there discussing with Jesus. Then Peter replied, "Jesus, Teacher, it is quite good that we are here. If you wish, let us create 3 sanctuaries, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." For he was somewhat confused, not knowing what to say, and they were quite terrified. They were quite terrified. And a cloud approached them, and it soon overshadowed them, and a voice was heard in the cloud, which said, "Behold, my beloved Son. I am quite delighted in him. Always listen to him." Instantly, they turned their faces and looked around, but saw nobody in the place. Only Jesus was standing before them. Later, as they were walking down the mountain, Jesus instructed them not to inform anybody about the vision they had witnessed until the resurrection of the Son of Man was fulfilled. They obeyed what Jesus had commanded them, but among themselves they questioned the meaning of the resurrection. And so these disciples asked Jesus, "Why do the authorities of the law declare that Elijah must come first, prior to the others?" And Jesus replied them, "Truly Elijah is to arrive first, and he will prepare and renew everything. But how is it inscribed in the scriptures regarding the Son of Man, that he shall suffer greatly and be forsaken? But I tell you now, Elijah has already come and gone. The people, not aware that it was Elijah, acted as they pleased and mistreated him. And it is inscribed in the scriptures regarding him." And when Jesus approached his followers, he saw a huge throng assembled around them, and some authorities of the law arguing with them. When the people saw Jesus, they were quite astonished, and they all ran to him to welcome him. And Jesus asked the authorities of the law, "What are you all arguing about?" Then one person in the vast throng replied, "Rabbi, I brought you my son. He's possessed by a demon and dumb. An evil spirit attacks him with epileptic disorders. He yelps in distress and is bound and thrown into convulsion, foaming in the mouth. The demon troubles him continuously and only leaves him with difficulty and great stress. I implored your followers to expel it, but they could not expel it." Then Jesus replied, "O unbelieving and erring people, how long shall I dwell with you and endure all this?" Then he turned to the man and invited him, "Bring your child over." Now as the boy was being taken to Jesus, the evil spirit saw Jesus and threw the boy down and into convulsions. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has your son been suffering like this?" And the man replied, "For quite a while, since he was a little child. And frequently the demon has thrown him into fire and likewise into water, seeking to kill him. If there is anything you can do to help us, please help us. Have pity on us." And Jesus told him, if you just believe, anything and everything is possible for the one who has faith in God." At once the father of the boy screamed, tears obviously in his eyes, "Lord, I have faith in you. Help me to have abundant faith, flourishing faith." Jesus observed that the throng was approaching them. So he reproved the demon and ordered it, "Deaf and mute spirit, I order you now, come out of this boy and be gone. Go and don't ever come back." The evil spirit yelled, threw the boy into a fit, and left him. The boy lay on the ground as if lifeless. And many people said, "He has died." Next, Jesus held his hand and raised him up, and he got up. When Jesus eventually entered the residence, his disciples approached him in secret and asked him, "Why could we not expel the evil spirit and heal the boy?" And Jesus told them, this type of demon can only be expelled by prayer and abstinence. And so Jesus and his followers left that place and journeyed through Galilee. But Jesus did not want anybody to be aware of his whereabouts. For Jesus instructed his followers and told them, the Son of Man is about to be betrayed to malefactors. They will put him to death, but he will be raised back to life after 3 days. But the disciples did not grasp his teaching, and they feared to question Jesus. Next, Jesus and his followers came to Capernaum, and entering the residence, he asked his followers, what was the wrangle about? Earlier as we journeyed. But the disciples were quiet and would not reply Jesus, for as they journeyed, they had wrangled vehemently regarding who among them was the greatest. And Jesus settled down, assembled the 12 apostles, and told them, anyone who wishes to be first must be last among the people, and be the servant of all the people. And he got a young child and placed him before them. And taking the child in his arms, he addressed them, anyone who welcomes one of these young children in my name receives me. And anyone who receives me receives not only me, but he welcomes him who sent me. And John told Jesus, Master, we witnessed somebody who is not a member of our society driving out evil spirits in your name. And we stopped him because he is not a member of our society. But Jesus replied, John, do not stop him. For nobody who does a meritorious or miraculous deed in my name can shortly thereafter blaspheme against me or slander me. For anyone who is not against us is for us. For anyone who hands you a drink of water in my name because you are for Christ, truly I tell you now, he will definitely obtain his reward. But anyone who leads one of these little faithful ones into sin, no doubt, it will be better for him if a grand millstone were bound to his neck and he were dumped into the ocean. If your own hand makes you to commit sin, cut it off and cast it off. It is better for you to receive eternal life without a hand than to have two hands and be dumped into hell in the everlasting flames. There the worms that consume them just never expire, and the fire that devours them is never extinguished. And if your own foot makes you to commit sin, cut it and cast it off. It is better for you to receive eternal life without a foot than to have 2 feet and be dumped in hell in the everlasting flames. There the worms that consume them just never expire, and the fire that devours them is never extinguished. And if your very eye makes you to commit sin, remove it and cast it off. It is better for you to enter the monarchy of the Lord God without an eye than to have 2 eyes and be dumped into the blazing furnace of hell. There the worms that consume them just never expire, and the fire that devours them is never extinguished. For all will be made pure by fire, even as a sacrifice is made pure by salt. Salt is ever good, but if the flavor of the salt is lost, just how will you season it, that it be salty and new? Have the salt of goodness in yourselves, and dwell in peace and harmony with one another.